27 minutes, but we're not going to go that long.
That's what she said. And that's how we start.
I haven't even sat down yet.
Yep, that's where okay, stop texting me. You know who you are. But yeah, no, that's absolutely where we started. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to cue music. Sounds the Trident stat. It's two different words.
Yep, especially for this week, because there's going to be some tasty.
Boy, is there a lot that goes on with this one. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your co-host, Michael Murphy, joined today by...
I'll use your audio.
We're using my audio because we are not
Okay, so now you should be able to hear me super crisp.
I'm joined today by...
josh.killian.
And this is the Trident stat for January of 2021, the first month of this year. You know, we went into this year and like the first 3 days it was just mellow. You know, World War III hadn't been talked about. You know, there weren't all the protests. Well, I say that. And then like day 4 hit and it's like, yeah, we're still in the 2020 decade. So here we are.
Yeah, it feels like that. It started off better. It started off, like you were saying, there wasn't...
First couple days.
Yeah, I was going to say, the first couple days weren't bad because there wasn't a whole lot going on. I know the winter storm was a brewing, and now it's here.
Yeah, now we're sitting here in the midst of a winter wonderland, if you would.
Going almost into March, but...
Yeah, good Lord have mercy. But anyway, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about your statistics, what you're here for, those juicy, juicy numbers. And if you're a nerd like us, or honestly, you just like to be informed and an educated individual, this is the show for you. So, we're going to go ahead and dive into the first months of 2021 statistic for your real estate market. We are specifically focusing today on St. Charles County, addressing both single-family residences as well as condos and townhomes. So, with that, if you'd like your own personal copy of this and to be well informed and ahead of the game, ahead of the curve, and ahead of your peers, feel free to subscribe and shameless plug and ask us for your own personalized report, actually, because we have the ability to get that.
Yeah, absolutely free as well.
Yeah.
So they don't cost anything. But you'll be ahead of the game when it comes to knowing your stats, knowing your own market, because we don't have to tailor these specifically, just to St. Charles. We can go anywhere through Missouri. We even have connections, across the nation, so we can definitely hook you up with getting your particular stats.
Yeah, and not just like for your county, but for your actual home, your neighborhood, for your school district, whatever you might desire.
Down to a T.
Exactly.
So it's really useful information.
But with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to dive right on into it. So we're looking at our first page. It's the pie charts. Josh, right there. So going right down the line from left to right, you're looking at the average number of sales. This is going to be for your single-family residences going from January 2020 to 2021. In 2020, we had 329 sales. In 21, we had 375 sales. That's an increase of almost 14%. Going down to the next one, new listings are actually down over 3%. And then the average days on market is not up by any stretch of the imagination. It is down 40%. That's 45 to 27 days on the market. So what do these numbers mean, pretty much? Josh, take that away.
Of course. So I'm going to work backwards actually a little bit, because looking at those, you see the negatives, you think those are a bad thing, right? Well, actually, absolutely not. So the number of sales increasing from 2020 from 329 to 2021 to 375, that just means that more homes have sold. That's kind of self-explanatory. That just means that more homes that were on the market have sold.
Mm-hmm.
But the new listings, so the next stat that we have going down, as of this year, there's less homes hitting the market.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, you're going to have more buyers bidding for the homes that are on the market. You're going to have a more aggressive market when it comes into buying, which is where the average days on market has declined by 40%. So 40%. Those that are listing, that's insane, because that's almost half. So if you like to see January of 2020, over a month you were listing your house. So it took 45 days on average for your home to go from being listed to selling and having the keys exchanged and all of that good stuff. To now, a year later, so 365 days later, it's less than a month.
That's insanity.
It's insane. So those who are selling their home right now are... I'm talking the first 2 days, are getting multiple bids that even as we'll see later, far exceed the prices at which they're listed.
Yeah, well, heck, I was out showing a property today, actually, first day on the market, and agents at this point that are listing it will flat out lay it out in their agent remarks that the house hits the market on Friday. You have until Sunday to show it, at which point we have a deadline. We will not accept any more offers, and you will have a response tomorrow or the following day. And you can bet your bottom dollar that price that's accepted is not list price. price. It's not 1% over. It might be almost. I've seen houses go. There was actually Nelly the rapper who sold his house short saled it, right?
Yeah.
It was listed at $595,000. Guess how much it sold for?
600 something, a little bit over that maybe. What? Oh, what did it go
It
for?
went for over $1 million. Now this,
You're kidding
I'm
me.
not joking. I was talking to Terry about this today, right? Now, granted, this is an exception because this was a rapper's house. It was a short sale, and there was a lot that went on with it. But double list value, okay? So goes to show you how crazy
So we're
of a
talking
market.
200%.
Yeah, 200%, if not more. Okay, I don't know the exact sale value at this point. It's a short sale, so it's a lot of processing that's got to do. But the offer that was accepted and is moving forward is over $1 million at this point.
That is insane.
Ludicrous numbers. But then, speaking of ludicrous numbers, that brings us to our next section in terms of median sale prices, median versus average in terms of sale pricing and list pricing. So if you're looking at the median sale price, from 2020 to 2021, it's actually up over 12%, and the average sale price is actually up over 15.5%. Contrasting that to list pricing, median list pricing is actually up 6.3%, almost 6.4%, and then the average list price is up 14%. So
all around the board,
just
is a positive increase in price.
yeah.
All around.
Everything is going for way more than it was last year. And we're going to bring this we're throwing a lot of numbers at you right now. We're going to bring it all together at the end to make sense of it. So moving on from there, the big key numbers in our little is this a chart? This is a chart, right? Not a graph. Okay, yeah.
Graph is what is
graph is the lines. Okay.
Graph is the lines. Graph is lines.
Yeah, I'm sorry, all my math teachers from the past.
I can't remember. I know bar graph and line graph. I can't. Venn diagram. I don't
Venn
know.
diagram.
Isn't that's a circle?
That's like that's the two circles that cross over. That's a Venn diagram. You're thinking of a pie chart, I think.
I'm thinking comparing, contrasting, or something.
Anyway, as we were saying, talking about general market summaries. Again, we're still talking about single-family homes at this point. In terms of new listings, in January of 2020, there were 454 new properties that hit the market. That's in comparison to 21, which only 439 hit the market. So that's 15? Yeah, 15 less. But still, lower inventory, more demand, higher prices at this point, okay? You look at sold listings, shocking. It's up 14% from 329 as of 2020 to 375 as of 2021. And then I'm going to skip down a little bit in our chart, actually, and we're going to start talking about the list to sell price ratio. This is probably my favorite statistic that you'll find in here.
This is genuinely insane
because
the amount of profit that can occur within a month that has occurred within a year.
Exactly. Well, if there are two numbers on here that show how high demand is, it's going to be the average days on market and the list to sell price ratio. And the reason why I say that is the shorter the days on the market, the more people are out looking at properties and the more there are offers being put in, and there's more of, just real estate business going on. And then the average list, the list to sell price ratio just shows how crazy, I don't want to say crazy, but how motivated people are to buy and get that property. So in terms of list to sell price ratios, if you look at 2020, you see 98.9%. So if you were to list a house at $100,000, you were pretty likely to get $98,000, maybe $99,000 for it. However, in January of 2021, the list to sell price ratio is actually over 100%. It's at 100.4%. What does that mean? That means if you list a house at $100,000, you're going to get $400 more than what you were asking for it. So, I mean, that's just...
Which doesn't sound like an extreme amount, but you got to also take into consideration that we're using $100,000 as just kind of a prime standpoint, because that's just an easy number. In reality, we're looking at between $250,000 and $300,000 as the average home price in St. Charles County.
And so that adds to thousands of dollars in difference.
Exactly. Especially when, like you were saying, you're comparing the listing price to the selling price. When both are above what they were, when both have increased in price, I kind of like to go back to the first page, but same statistics here. Whenever you have that increase of list price 14% and the sale price being 15.5%, that means you're listing your home for 14% more. You're just listing it for 14% more than what it was a year ago.
Yeah.
But then the sale price of that home is going for 15.5% more than what you've listed it for. So we're talking on a $250,000 home in the St. Charles County, we're talking like, I know
Well,
we
we've got the
wrote them
numbers.
down. I was gonna say we wrote them
So-
down like $60,000 in profit in a year, or something, or right around there, within $60,000.
Yeah, so if you want to compare the average selling price from January of 2020 to 21, you're looking at $228,000, almost $229,000 in 2020, upward moving into 2021 being $265,000, for crying out loud. That's almost $40,000 in appreciation over the course of a year. Again, that's an increase of 14%, for crying out loud.
1 year.
To put that into perspective, the average real estate increase in value is about 3%. So you're looking at the accumulation of almost 5 years in profit.
Half a decade in a year.
Half a decade in a year. Ludicrous numbers.
It's
I'm telling you.
crazy.
Oh, God. And I mean, so moving forward with our stats, we can start talking about all these line and bar graphs and stuff like that, but we're just going to quickly right here, and then we're going to move on to the next one right there, and then you're talking about average sale price, and then we're talking about average sale versus list price right here. And now I want to stop on this one. Hold on. Stop. Don't go to the next one. Right there. Okay. Stay. All right. So we're looking at average sales versus list price. Are you on the right one? Right one, Josh?
I don't know. Average. Are we going to the next page?
Yeah, next page.
Okay.
Yeah, this one.
Average. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
So, so you're looking at this one, and you see two lines on here, right? One of them represents the sold price, and one of them represents the actual list price. Okay. And the trend that you see in this one, we've discussed this in the past, is that on average, your selling price is lower than your list price. That's just to be expected because,
how it is.
I mean, that's the realistic perspective on things. Whenever you get into negotiations on a house and things like that, you might list it at, $250,000, but it might realistically sell at $240,000. Not with this previous year or
Not at
this
all.
year. You actually, again, we've talked about it multiple times in the past, and we're talking about it today. You're seeing an actual selling price above your list price. Absolutely ludicrous. Again, you're talking about listing a property, your average property in St. Charles, when we first started the Trident talk, was at $250,000. We're already pushing $270,000 in value in less than a year, for crying out loud. It's ludicrous, and it's just consistently moving up. If you want a time to sell, now is the time to sell. This isn't a matter of, I'm going to wait and see if the values keep going up, because eventually this is going to stop.
It's going to stop. They're going to come to a halt, and maybe even we don't exactly know. You can never really track these things because it has a lot to do with the economy, but there will be a time this will not continue going forward.
Exactly. This trend is not permanent. I don't want to say it's not permanent because, well, there's a general appreciation, but appreciation to this extent just doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and continue moving forward. Let's see. Okay. Next one right here, Josh. If you see and you want to look at it and make, break down, stop me. I'm at average asking to sold to unsold price. Moving on to the next one, properties for sale. Right there. This is actually a very interesting one that we can talk about that really, what's a good word, describes St. Charles County. So if you look at the statistics that we had from about a year ago, you see probably 3 or 4 bars that really stand out, and that's going to be your 150,000 bar to about 200, your 200 to 300, your 300 to 500, and your 500 to 700 one. Now, if you were to go back a year, you would have seen that 200 to 300,000 bar would have been much larger than your $300 to $500,000 bar. Now, what does that show? Josh, would you like to take that one away?
Well, that shows that the number of properties that are being listed for that sales price have increased. So looking at last year's stats going from that 200 to 299 or 300 mark, if you look at those last stats, I'll probably be able to put them up on screen as well. You can see that majority of the properties that were on the market fell within that price range. But with the statistics that we're showing today, with the increase from 14% to 15% of the sales price, 14% of the list price, we're pushing the average sale price, the number of homes being listed for 300 to 500,000 now are more consistent than lower. So still within a year, it's insane to see a shift of that much, because at least within our branch in which we work, $500,000 or more is considered a luxury listing. So you're looking at properties now that are considered average on the market being between 300 and 500, that luxury listing.
Yeah.
So if, going forward, the appreciation were to continue, maybe at this rate, maybe not, we will eventually see a day in which, $400,000 or more could possibly be the average in St. Charles County, which is crazy to think about.
I was looking at it earlier, it was the other day, and I don't want to say anything until I look it up, but if you want to compare us to the average sale price for a home in, can you tell that I'm typing it in as I'm saying it, in California. I just like, everyone compares their state to California.
With it just being relatively more expensive and everything, it's an easy target.
Yeah, it's a very easy target to say, be happy you don't live in California. But the average, so this is from the NewYorkTimes.com. The average sale price, the median price is over $700,000. So if you ever have a home that you can just sell, that just apparates that you can sell, California is the place. But that's, again, the entire nation is experiencing these results. This isn't something that it's just Missouri. This isn't something that it's, just Midwestern states. This is East Coast, West Coast. There is no North Coast. But the point stands. And we've talked about in the past, why are prices this high? It's because of interest rates being so low at the end of the day. I mean, the average interest rate right now, we were talking to Danny the other day. Crap, censor that because it's going to flag it. But we were talking to one of our lenders the other day, and he said he was on the verge of giving out a loan that was like under 2%. It was like in the ones at this point.
Yep.
And that's where we are as an economy. Interest rates are still dropping, which negative relationship, you're seeing prices through the roof.
And with that lower interest rate allows people to be able to afford more house for the same relative price in which they were going to get into the market anyway. So the average person that was going to be able to spend $250,000 on a 5% fixed rate that is now getting a 3% rate can now afford $30,000 to $50,000 more house, which, if you look at the stats, would put us into that $300,000 to $500,000 mark.
Mm-hmm. And that's what's crazy is that, I think my parents, whenever they bought their house, they bought it at like a 7% interest rate. It was a while ago. And, they're refinancing right now. They're collecting, tens of thousands of dollars in equity and getting an interest rate that's less than half of what it was originally. That's just insane to me. But we're going to go ahead and keep on trucking through at this point. What were we on? We were at properties for sale. Next one is going to be average sale price per square foot right there, Josh. And then talk about month supply of inventory. I definitely want to stop at, and right there. So month supply of inventory in 21. This trend, it's just insane. It keeps going down at this point. Now we do see this little smidgen of an increase towards the end there. But what are we seeing here? You're looking at just over, and I mean just over a month of inventory. And what does that mean? That means if we were to get no new listings right now, like zip, no one said, hey, I want to sell my house. With the average days on market, we would last just over a month before all inventory disapparated.
So going back to the very first couple of stats with like the 460 something homes that were on the market, it would only take 30 days for all 400 plus of those to sell. Mm-hmm. Is what we're getting at, which in retrospect is even less than what it was the year before. 3% less than what it was the year before, and even less inventory. Mm-hmm. So it's like,
it's ludicrous.
It's insane of how many buyers are out there competing for
this low amount of inventory. And
exactly, which is why you're having these drastic increases in prices, because when you're talking 8-9 buyers, maybe even more in some aspects. We've heard stories within the past 1 to 2 weeks where there's open houses and there's been 60-70 groups of people in a 2 hour, and it gets taken off the market. There's some homes that we've had open houses for that they've gone live on Friday. We're supposed to have an open house on Sunday. It doesn't even make it to Saturday.
Yeah. Well, there was a property I was going to show one of my clients, and I called the agent because it was still in the coming soon status. They had already received an offer that they had acknowledged that they were going to accept, which, it's technically illegal.
Crazy.
But it's, exactly what you said. It's crazy. And this is a market where people are foregoing inspections. People are foregoing appraisals, for crying out loud. It's just insane. But continuing our trend forward, average sale price and days on market, that's right there. Dissect that one. There's a lot to that one. If you have questions about that one, feel free to inquire or watch one of the previous episodes of the Trident Stat where we talk about that and what that means. And next one, month supply of inventory in January 2021 in single-family homes. But that, from what I'm aware of, pretty much wraps up our single-family homes. Okay. Now, before we move on to condos and kind of address those real quick, which we'll go ahead Deciding it now, let's make that a part 2 right there. We'll get back to that. But to conclude this episode of the Trident stat, talking about single-family residences, I wanted to talk about average sale prices and the general appreciation of things and how much a property could have appreciated in value in total with additional little things here and there. So last year in January of 2020, if you had bought a house, the average house in St. Charles County went for $228,000 on the dot, surprisingly. Now, we talked about this earlier. If you go back to insert timestamp here, where we talk about the increase in the average sale price of a house in St. Charles, and that was an increase of 14%. So if you were to take that, and you take that $228,000, that average home, and increase it by the average sale price increase, you're looking at $259,920, so almost $260,000. So right there, almost over $30,000 in profit. But on top of that, that's saying you listed at that 14% increase. If you look at the comparison, you're getting 1.04 times that amount, so 100.4%. So you're looking at, if you were to list it at $259,000, $260,000, and multiply by that 4... Cut this, I did the math wrong. Hold on. It's 14.4% plus...
Doing math over there.
Yeah, so you would have made almost $45,000 as opposed to that. So about $10,000 less. I'm glad I caught that, but still.
Still 45 grand more.
And back in. So where I left off. So if the average house you could have bought back in 2020 at $228,000, you look at a 14% average sale price increase, or excuse me, average list price increase. And you're looking at $259,920. That's what you could sell that house at right now if you did nothing to it except basic maintenance to where it maintained its condition, and you were to say, I'm buying this house last year, now I'm selling it today, okay? Well, on top of that, you look at that 100.4% in list to sale ratio, and that brings you to actually a grand total of when you actually sell it, when you have that offer in hand, you're looking closer at $260,959.68. So basically, $261,000, okay? For buying a house, letting it sit, not doing anything to it, minus basic maintenance, and then selling it this year. Well, here's the thing. Most people don't just buy a house and let it sit. What do? You pay it off. You pay it off, and you put a tenant in it, okay? You rent it out. And here's where the fun comes in. The average rental price in St. Charles County is about $1,000, and that's actually from our sources, okay? And so we'll round it out to be $1,000 for the sake of easy mathematics, and if you rent it out for a full year, no vacancies, that's an additional $12,000 that you're pulling in. So for not touching the property, just buying it, putting a tenant in it, and then selling it this year, you're looking at $44,959.68. So basically $45,000 that you would make. You would make the average American salary in a year by buying a house, having someone live in it, and then selling it.
That's just on the property. We're not talking like that's what you do for a living. Like this is you do what you do for a living. This is simply for living in your home or renting it out to a tenant. The increase in profit in which you get in a year. Mm-hmm. That is crazy.
And that
is a good thing for sellers. That's why if you're thinking about listing, we can't stress it enough that
the time is now.
I was going to say now would be the best time. And then in retrospect, for you buying, locking in yourself at a ridiculously low interest rate will allow you to buy even more home than you think. Mm-hmm. So win-win, dubs all around, dubs all around. Dubs all around.
And I think that's a fantastic spot to go ahead and conclude this month's episode, this month's first part of the Trident Stat
Show.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Michael Murphy, and I'm joined by
Josh Killian.
And this has been the Trident Stat on single-family residences. Catch you next week.